Alright, I'm heading home now from the Quemahoming on the Dam Ultra. I did the 34 miler today, which is like 2 loops, a 17 mile. Finished first overall in like 4:56-ish something. I don't know, I'd have to look again. So I got first overall, which was a goal, and I got the course record by like a minute and a half. So that was the other goal. My relay team also won. So I think I crossed everything off the list today. It was a fun time. Well, sort of. The race overall was good. Everything was on point. Everything seemed to run smoothly. I just, put it frankly, I shit the bed hard today. Multiple times, and it just got harder as the day got on. With doing the relay, I wanted to push because my relay leg was 10 miles, the first 10 miles. Obviously, I had to do the first leg because I was running the full 34 miles as well. So when I started, well, I wanted to push as hard as I could the first 10 miles to get the team ahead as much as possible. And then I told them they could do whatever after that if they wanted to do it for fun or, you know, go for the win, whatever. But I was going to put them in a position, and then they could decide from there. So we started the race. I went out way too damn fast. I think I had like 160 heart rate, which is my zone 5, within the first like couple tenths of a mile, which I knew better. I don't know why I did it, but it happened. So the rest of the race I was burning more energy, way more energy than I should have been, because once I hit that 160 in the zone 5, my energy just gets expended exponentially. I even said that to the one kid. I was like, we're running way too fast, and he's like, well, I was going off you because I thought you knew what you're doing. I was like, well, we're running too fast right now. So that's how the race started for me. Stupid ass me. So I was pushing, again, trying to get my team ahead. The goal for 10 miles, I was shooting for like an hour 10 range, an hour 5. I think I came in at like an hour 10 or hour 11. So right around what I was hoping to. So trail race, doing whatever, 10 miles, an hour and like 10 minutes is pretty good. I'm happy with that. Well, I am happy with the pace. I'm just not happy how I pushed so hard, and you know, I sort of screwed myself, but that was the sort of the game plan. I know the guy I knew dropped back at like mile 4. I was hoping to pace off of him. He dropped back a little bit, and I was like, shit. I was gonna use him to like keep me calm. I kept pushing, banging out like 6-7 minute miles. That first 10 clip. There might have been an 8 in there. Don't think there really was, but we'll just say there was one in that first 10 miles. Just like a hillier section. Yeah, so I was definitely running too fast. Faster than I should have been. I didn't have no issues on the course navigating it. I ran the race before and I've run there before, so I sort of know what it is, but I was more checking on my footing today than anything, making sure I didn't trip and fall. But I do know right away the one shoe lace on my right foot, it was probably the third one down. I had way too tight. I could feel it. It was just digging into my foot. So I knew that was going to be an issue the rest of the race. But I wasn't going to stop the first 10 miles and fix it. because I didn't want to, for the relay, waste any time. I was trying to get them ahead as much as possible. And I figured after 10 miles and we exchanged, then I could do whatever and fix it. My stubborn ass, I don't think, fixed it like mile 15. Finally got tired of it. I also noticed my left foot right away. I don't know if it was a shoe or the sock. I don't know if the sock had a bunch of dirt in it still from a previous trail race or what. But I could feel it just eating away at the back of my heel. So I knew right away. I was like, well, you're going to have blisters back here, which never happens. I never get blisters. Well, I don't want to say never, but it has to be something stupid for me to get a blister. And today it happened. I'll get to that later. So when I come up on the relay, the exchange, I was still flying, cooking pretty good. I didn't take any aid station beverages or food the first laps and the first 17 or 16 and a half, whatever it is. I just relied on my hydration pack, water and Hydrolyte to fuel me, because I figured that was a way I was going to save time the first loop. Then I figured that once I refill, depending on where I'm at time-wise, I could either just rely on the vest again or take beverages at the aid station. So, I don't know, nothing really major happened in the 10. Some people cheered me on and whatnot. I get close to the relay exchange. I yell out from my buddy Ray that I'm coming in, so he's all ready. I get in, I threw my relay bib off to the side because I didn't need that because I had to wear take 2 bibs. He was behind me. I was hoping he'd be in front of me so he would slow me down, but he wanted me to go ahead. So I just kept flying that first 17 miles. No issues. I felt pretty good. It was nice and cool, I think, to start today. It was like 50 degrees. It's a perfect running weather. So I think, yeah, I'd have to look, but I know when I hit the end of the first loop, I came in at like 206, 209 time range. I think I came in at like 206, and I might have left at 209 or 208, something. We'll just say in that range. I know it was for sure. So I was definitely flying that first loop, but it cost me later on in the race. Because as soon as I started the second loop, and I think because I slowed down to refill and stuff, the body started to adjust there. And that's about when the heat came. The rest of the race was like 70 some degrees. And there's really not any foliage on the trees yet. So the course was pretty hot. It was actually really dry this year. Sometimes it's a little wet, but today it was probably the driest I've seen the trail, except for maybe like a late August type thing. So I started struggling after that. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like I couldn't do like anything under a 10-minute mile after the first loop. So I was getting kind of pissed off. There was a few miles that I was doing like 8 or 9s, maybe the first couple miles. Because I knew that was my goal pace. The second loop was I had at least maintain a 9. Because I think I was shooting for like a 4:30 pace. The course record was like 2:58, as I said earlier. I came in at 2:56, but I was actually shooting for a 4:30-ish. Because I figured if I'm coming in at 2:06, 2:09, add on like another minute, that gives me that like 4:30 pace. I figured, that's doable. At least most people would think that's a reasonable time and effort. It wasn't. So I started to slowly just drop down in time and energy. I know I stopped sweating at mile 18, which was kind of alarming. It wasn't just evaporating, I just was not sweating. And I was very salty. I washed myself off a bunch of times in the little streams, creeks, whatever you want to call them. Just trying to open my pores back up from the sweat that just kept building up. It was more like salt coming out of my body than anything, instead of sweat. The only thing that might have been sweaty was my head, because I know my headband was dripping, but I don't know if that was from sweating or just having like dipping my headband in the water or whatnot. But I just kept slowly fading and fading, and every mile that went by I was looking at my watch trying to figure out how much time or what my pace should be to, you know, get to my 4:30, and it just kept slipping back and back. And then I was like, well shit, you got to somehow maintain at least a 10 to get into that like 250 range, or you're screwed. In the second loop, I had to take water and Gatorade at every aid station because my hydrolyte and my water and my vest just weren't cutting it. It might even have been the hydrolyte because it's like a strong Pedialyte for adults. So maybe it was just shutting me down too much. But I was wasting like a minute or two at an each aid station, the 4 aid stations, you know, just trying to rehydrate. The water was very cold too. I think I might have screwed my stomach up because I'm not used to drinking like ice cold water during a race. I did have like 3 little chunks of watermelon at the end of the first loop. I forgot to mention that. And a little bit of Coke, but the Coke really didn't do anything like how it normally gives you, that like makes you burp up all the acid and stuff in your stomach. It just really didn't work today. So I'm just falling apart trying to figure out what to do, because I see in the back of my mind my goal slipping to get the course record. And I know a few points during the second loop I really did think to myself, I was like, just start walking, not worry about the record anymore. But my ass is too stubborn, and I wanted it really bad, even though it should have been a lot lower. I guess I just couldn't give it up without at least trying. I know I felt like just drained, and like, I wouldn't even say mentally fatigued. I know my legs were getting tired, which they shouldn't have been. They just didn't feel like they had any like liquid or anything in them. I think my body just, like, since I quit sweating, like even my legs just, they didn't have any liquid in them to even sweat out anymore. Because my compression shorts, my 2XUs, they were bone dry. My calf sleeves were bone dry, but they were completely covered in salt. I tried to keep cool by wearing my shirt that I cut in, like, you know, like a woman's tank top. Helped a little bit in the morning, but when that sun came out, it really didn't do nothing. But if I wear a long shirt, then I'm just gonna chafe after I sweat. So that's what it helped avoids. But I do know my vest, I've had this problem before. It just kept hitting me in the stomach. It might be just a tad too big, but I'm right on that cusp of sizes. Probably have to go down one so it stays a little tighter and doesn't jam me in the stomach. That probably affected me a lot today. Yeah, so after mile 18 I quit sweating, so I was really concerned about that. Even though I was trying to drink liquid, I still wasn't sweating. Even though I had 2 cups of like water and Gatorade at each aid station, it just seems like it never started up the sweat process again, which, you know, any runner knows that's a danger zone. So I was running in the danger zone that whole second loop basically, and then it just felt like I was running uphill that whole second loop. I don't know what it was. Even the little declines, I just felt like I was running uphill. So I don't know if it was like a mental thing or what today, but I was still determined, because I knew somehow if I could bang out a couple 8s or somehow do a 7 or 9, I would be in it. I don't think I ever really did. I'd have to look at my watch. Nothing too exciting to happen for a while. I know mile 27 and a half, I started, well, like 26, I started getting a little gas, and I was going down to my knees a couple times, just taking little breaks on hills, because I just felt like I was gonna pass out, or I just couldn't go on anymore, and I was just too stubborn to stop. Plus I was at a point where you really couldn't stop. because you'd still have to go a couple miles, unless I just laid down for a while and recovered. So at like 27 and a half, there's a little bit of an uphill. I could see down below me if anybody was coming. I pulled the old bear shit in the woods. I shit in the woods. Got off trail like 15 feet. No longer have a sweatband or a wristband, whatever. Dumbass went to wipe. Fucking got my hand in it. I was like, shit. Literally, whatever. Figured you guys would want to know that. Stuff does happen to me like that. Typical story for me. I did pee earlier in the race. A little bit before, a couple miles before then. And it was like a pale ale. So you know that's not good. It means like the kidneys or the muscle autosis or whatever they call it. Probably ate into my muscles a lot today. Pay for it later. Felt a little better after I crapped in the woods. Not much, but I was still sort of on pace. I knew it was going to be close. I kept pushing through, looking at my watch. You know, I was like, oh, 10 minutes. I was like, you got to somehow manage to get a couple of nines in there to get ahead. Again, I never really did. But the Green Bridge area after that, like the last 5-6 miles of the race, I was just completely just like shutting down. I could feel it like in my chest. I don't know if it was my organs or whatnot. I'll probably pass out, die later tonight. The way my luck's going. But I pushed through. So I was like, well, past the last, well, basically the last aid station. So it's like you're at the point of no return, basically. Pass some people. I'm like, oh, you're looking good. I'm like, yeah, not really. I know by the actual last aid station, which is like 1.25 or 1.2, whatever, before the finish, which is like where the second loop starts, because you start at the Quemahoming area and run like a mile and a half before you actually hit the trail. I was basically done at that point. I think I had like 18 or 19 minutes to do that last 1.2 miles. But it's got like a 200 feet incline. I was trying to walk and jog it, but I just kept dying in the heat because it's on like an access road a little bit, probably for the first 3 to 4 tenths. It just sucked so much life out of me with the heat, just like beating down. By that time, the sun was like directly above me, and I was just like, this sucks so bad. Somehow I just kept going and going, and I knew I was getting worse and worse. But at that last aid station, I told Dan and Kaylee, I was like, you got to call ahead to the race director, Steph. I was like, I need some ice or something because I'm severely dehydrated. I knew it. I was smart enough to recognize it, which I know a lot of people aren't. So if you do a lot of long races, you got to recognize your symptoms. If you're heat stroke, dehydrated, hypernatremia, you have to learn what these things are and recognize the symptoms. So that way, if something does happen, you could tell people and they know how to fix it, because each one takes a different fix. So I tried and like the record was so close. I got to the top of the incline, then it gets flat for, we'll say, a couple hundred yards, and then it's got like a steady decline. And I knew that I had like maybe 7 minutes, 8 minutes when I started the downhill. And I was like, man, if this is like a mile long, I was like, I'm not gonna make it. But I started doing like a 7-ish, maybe close to 8 pace. Cause I was like, oh man, you're gonna be so close. I was like, cause I can't remember, you don't exactly know how far away it is with the trail race because of the GPS. So you're just guesstimating at that point. And I'm like, if it's really a mile, you're probably screwed. You're not going to get it. So I just kept looking, recognizing stuff in the back of my head, like where I'm at. Like, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. You got a couple minutes. Push. So I'm pushing. and then like I could just feel it in my stomach just start to turn, because I think that extra little push just made everything just like So probably maybe a 10th left in the race, I'm just like puking my guts out. Like it's pure liquid. I don't even know what's happening, because like I said, it's pure liquid, and I'm like, I haven't been sweating, so my body basically shut down and didn't absorb the liquid. It was like storing it in my stomach, because I probably puked 70-80 ounces out. So that's what happened, and that's why I wasn't sweating, because my body just didn't absorb the shit. I'm gonna have to look up when I get home the reason behind that. I'm not sure, but I want to know how to fix it. Maybe it's not enough salt, maybe it's too much electrolytes, or not too much water. Not really sure, but it's going to be some good knowledge to maintain or obtain down the road. And then having told Nana Kaylee at the last stage, that last 1.2 miles, that I was in bad shape. People were watching out for me, and they like came running down because they saw me just like disappear behind this little building. It's like a 10th, and I was just like, they brought me an ice pack real quick. I was just there like puking. I couldn't even move. I thought it was gonna be dry even, but it was, like I said, it was like water, because I could see it coming out. I have no idea where it was all coming from. Maybe my muscles, I don't know what. Either way, whatever. So finally I crossed, just like I said, like a minute and a half. I don't think it was 2 minutes ahead of the course record. Did a lot of damage to my body today. It was the scariest I ever felt for a race. I don't ever want to do that again to my body, because I know it's going to cost me the next couple of days. See what happens with it. I'm kind of curious to see how much water weight I lost. I tried to drink. I drank some stuff after the race. I didn't really eat too much yet. I drank like a small bowl of chili. I just wasn't. I'm not even hungry right now. But I tried to force some stuff down. I ate like a cookie 2 hours later after I finished. A little peanut ball and a couple chips. I just still not hungry. But I know I gotta eat, so I think my body's just eating itself right at this point. So I'm gonna go home and eat some deep dish pizza that I got from Little Caesars. But anyway, after I crossed, I got help to a picnic table, and I laid down for like 15 minutes, maybe it was only 10, whatever. Got my buddy Evan, go get the Fit Aid out of my car. And I just laid there for a while, just cooling my body down, cooling my breathing down, getting my heart under 100 for heart rate. I don't know what it was before then, but I know my hands were tingly. They put some water bottles in my hand, some ice packs down my neck, because I was, when I say I was bad, if there was medical staff there, they probably would have taken me to the hospital or jabbed me with an IV or something like that, because that's the point of where I was. But I trained hard. I knew my body, and after like the 10 minutes, I got myself cooled down from everybody. I think Tiffany, Steph, forget who else was helping me, Evan. Got my Fit Aid down. 10 minutes later, bam! Thank you, Fit Aid. Saved my life today. I was ready to go again. I could maybe run a little bit tonight if I wanted to, but it ain't gonna happen. I probably should bike to keep my legs loose. I know I got real stiff because I didn't do my usual like walk or jog out at the finish line, because I just basically passed out on a bench. So my legs were really tight. Then after a while, after I got recuperated, I took my shoes and socks off and my calf sleeves down at the finish line area, because I didn't know if I was actually going to be able to get them off on my own. I got 2 huge, probably 50-cent blisters in the back of my heels, Got a couple on my toes. My one toe is like purple, not just the toenail, the front of the toe. Because I think I'm about like 30-ish. I ended up kicking this rock. Boy, did that hurt like hell. I knew right away I was going to pay for that. Not that I did it on purpose, but it was just one of those rocks that I just didn't see because I was in such a bad shape. I just clearly... Picture yourself kicking a kickball in gym class, you know, going full tilt and hit a home run. That's probably how I kicked that rock. So I got to deal with that now. It's probably going to take me out of contention to try to PR for Pittsburgh because these blisters, the back of my heels, ain't going to heal in time. So that sort of sucks. But I won today and I got my goals accomplished with the relay and the record. So I'll just say screw Pittsburgh and I'll go for fun instead. We know that won't happen. Other than that, I stayed for probably like 4 or 5 hours after I finished. I think I left at like 9 hours on the clock-ish. So if I finished at 5, so I stayed like 4 hours talking to everybody, seeing people come in, take a couple pictures. There's a lot of nice food there. It's fun to hear some stories. But again, everything seemed to be on point today. They did a good job getting all the flagging and the food and whatnot. It was just today was not my day. Once that heat came, I know I wasn't the only one. A lot of people had a bad day today. They were coming in just cramping up and having issues with dehydration because, you know, we're just getting into spring where the temps are rising, so nobody's really been training in the heat. So there was snow in the beginning of the week. So it was 30 degrees like Monday and Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday. And then it jumped up to like 60 yesterday, and now it's like 70 some today. So our bodies aren't definitely adjusted to the heat yet. So I think that played a huge factor in how everybody raced today, and even how I did. I just think it just sucked the complete life out of me and everybody else. It's one of those things, if you're not used to it and it happens, it's like going to Africa or Mexico to do a race when you live in Canada. You're going to have a bad time just because you're not used to the heat. But everybody seemed like they finished. No other health issues really major for people, so that's good. I don't think there was any DNFs in either like the 34, the relay, or the 25K. I didn't get to see too many 25s. They all left before I came in. Trying to think what else. I'll show you my... you probably can't see it. Cool picture from Craig. Painted it and I got it for winning overall. Thank you, Craig. I like it. It's a nice view of the dam. Other than that, about it. I know I took a nice shower after I recuperated a little bit. Yeah. It hurt like hell. Those blisters really hurt like hell, like raw skin. Whoo, they're bad. It's gonna hurt tonight again. I didn't chafe too much today. I was actually kind of shocked. I think because my body was so dry. Whereas normally if I'm wet, I get a little bit more chafed. We'll see later when the stuff sets in. Didn't get sunburnt for the first time this year. Get into the heat and the sun finally. But I'll pay for that later as well. Oh, yeah, after I showered and took my clothes back to the car, I did get my muscle sculpting tool out, did a little massage. I'll tell you what, that really helped today. My legs were so tight and sore. That was probably one of the smartest moves I've ever made. Massaging, not letting that fatigue and the acid build up into my body. That's about it. It was a good day, a good day after the race. Conversing with everybody and just, you know, seeing people. Now I'm gonna go home and probably die. So if this is my last video or race recap or whatnot, at least I went out on top.